This is 5 Star Life Radio on News Talk 95.3 Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Welcome back to 5 Star Life Radio, brought to you by Global Link Distribution, a supplier to the RV, manufactured housing, cargo trailer, and cabinet shop industries, as well as Dometic, the ultimate outdoor equipment engineered for living. You can check them out at Dometic.com. Both Global Link and Dometic are proud sponsors of 5 Star Life Radio, and I'm Coach Seth. I'm joined in studio with my co-host, Coach Mia.
Thanks, Seth. I love this show. I loved the recording and hearing all about this because I think it's just so necessary, not only for kids, man. I was, drinking it up today.
Well, it's something that applies to all of us. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, if we're 100% honest, all of us, like we can all learn and glean and probably grow a little bit in this whole idea of mental conditioning, unless we've just folded our arms up and we've settled for where we're at. And so this idea of gaining confidence and restoring confidence through just shutting off negativity, you think about that. Think about what would change in your home if you just shut off the negative talk. You just didn't go there. You think about, and then when you get into some quantum physics that really dives into the power of words. They've done all these studies about the power of words when they're spoken. That's kind of separate from mental conditioning, but that touches on when a word is spoken over someone. You say, "I can't stand this," or "You irritate me," or "You do this." It goes out and it has this biological impact on the people around us. I mean, research shows that. So our words are so powerful. That's why I said in the previous session, we are powerful beyond measure. Mm-hmm. We are truly, through our thoughts, our words. So anyways, this idea of cutting off negativity. Let me give you a couple illustrations. Billy Buckner. Have you heard of Billy Buckner? All the baseball fans have heard of Billy Buckner. He was he's a Hall of Fame baseball player. He was the Golden Glove winner 8 times. But he's also known for one of the biggest disasters in sports history by a all-star. In 1986, in the World Series versus the Mets, he literally let a ground hit roll between his legs, and the Mets score, that was their winning score that ended up, clinching the World Series. Now, this is the interesting thing about this. 12 days prior, as they're entering the World Series, he was interviewed by reporters. And they asked him, what are your thoughts going to this World Series? What do you hope to have happen? Give us some insight into your mind. And in that moment, Billy said, "Perfect world, my dream scenario is, I play great and we win the World Series. Nightmare scenario is I lose the World Series by muffing a play and letting a ground ball roll between my legs." Can you believe that? Now here's where it gets interesting, because people say, okay, Coach Seth, are you saying that he, when he spoke that, he made that happen? Well, research would say this is what happens. They would say when he spoke that, it went out into the universe and back into his ears and into his subconscious, into his mind. And what was planted was a negative seed. And so there's no question, science would say, in that moment, a routine ground ball where he can throw a person out and end the game, or it's a tie and they continue to play on, a routine play, there's no question. Guys don't just make those mistakes. There's a lack of focus somewhere, and that lack of focus came from that seed that was planted that said, maybe you're going to muff this. Mm. It's very interesting. Mm-hmm. And so when you think about the words that you're speaking, again, 40 to 70 times more powerful when you speak it. Like we all have to deal with negative thoughts. They're going to come. Somebody cuts us off in traffic. Somebody at work, we have office staff. People don't always execute or perform the way you want to. Stuff just happens. You're in family, you're in relationship, and it happens. So you can't stop all negative thinking, right? But it's so interesting that science and research shows that actually it's not even necessarily about stopping negative thinking. It's about stopping it from coming out of your mouth. That's where the power is. And that's where the responsibility is on our part.
Right. And, I'm a believer in, just the scripture. The power of the tongue, it's life or death, and that's so true.
Life or death is in the power of the tongue. And so, very interesting. Another example, Pistol Pete Maravich. This is for basketball fans now. Sorry if you don't love sports.
This is for Seth, everybody.
Sorry, sports. But Pistol Pete Maravich, he was way ahead of his time. Like, this guy was, his handles, his ball handling, his shooting, and the way he played, he put on a show. He was just fun to watch. He was electric. And long story short, he's 26 years old. I think he still holds most of the records at LSU. Like, he averaged something like 40 points a game. It was ridiculous. But in the pros, 26 years old, interviewed by a reporter, and he says, last thing I want to do is play in the NBA for 10 years and then, die of a heart attack when I'm 40. Why he said that, I have no idea. Why you and I say certain things. You ever think about that? There's times I've caught myself, I'm like, well, why did I just say that? It made no sense. And you kind of feel it in the moment, like, why did I say that? Well, if we can learn to discipline ourselves and before we say it, just say, yeah, okay, there's power to this. This isn't just trivial. I'm not just kind of throwing something out there that doesn't matter. It matters. So he says that, and many of you know that's exactly how it went down. He played for exactly 10 years in the NBA, and when he was 40, he's playing pickup basketball with friends. Totally healthy, walking off the court, has a heart attack, drops dead on the spot.
Oh, my.
So it's just very interesting. One last illustration. 1973, a refrigeration mechanic, is contracted by a railroad system to fix a refrigeration car at the end of the train. So he drives there, goes into the refrigeration unit, and accidentally locks himself inside the refrigeration unit. Starts yelling, calling for help. Nobody hears him. He's pounding on the door. Nobody can hear through the refrigeration car, and they go home for the night. And he's trapped inside this refrigeration unit overnight. And he begins to panic. And he's thinking the worst. Like, this is not good. I don't know if I'm going to have oxygen. It's cold in here. He takes out his pen. He starts to journal what he's thinking. Temperature's dropping. I'm feeling cold. This is what we do as human beings. It's human nature to observe how we're doing and report. I'm having a bad day. I'm not performing well in this sport. My marriage is falling apart. My kids are this. We tend to observe and report. So he's writing down, an hour goes by, he's writing down, getting colder and colder. Another hour and a half, I'm getting weaker. I can barely write. Finally, he writes, these may be my last words. Well, the next morning, people reported in, and they opened the refrigeration door and found this man dead. And, they were alarmed. They did an investigation. The refrigeration unit was still broke. It was not functioning.
Oh, my gosh.
It was 56 degrees. He did not freeze to death. They also checked the air quality. Was there enough oxygen? Air quality was fine. He had oxygen. There was no known cause of death. Literally, the coroner determined the cause of death was the man talked his body into shutting down. Just absolutely incredible. So when you think about the power of our thoughts, but then more importantly, the power of our words, this individual, I'm telling you, in research would say, you can talk yourself into getting cancer. You can talk yourself into a divorce. You can talk your kids into having a horrible relationship with you. You can talk yourself into not working out with the management you were currently under. We have the power to talk ourselves out of all kinds of situations. And literally, going back to Nick Saban, 6-6 record the first year. There's so many things that he didn't say. Now, there's a lot that he's going to remember for what he did say. But I think would be even more profound would be to do a study on what didn't Nick Saban say in those coach meetings in the early days? What didn't roll off his tongue? What did he never talk about with the athletic director or the executives at Alabama? That's what nobody thinks about.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I want to challenge you with. You're listening. What are you going to do with this? Knowing that literally the key to you sometimes living or dying, healthy, thriving, confident, insecure, stepping into greatness. And some people are like, I don't want to step into greatness. Why not?
Well, in your story about Nick Saban, for me, it's bigger. I mean, think about that. He had to change his life to change all of these players' lives. And think about how many Nick Sabans he created with that movement.
Exactly. So literally their goal was their sports psychology, their mental conditioning, the low-hanging fruit. They said, let's not worry about being positive. Let's not worry about doing affirmations. Hey, we're going to win the national. We're going to do this mantra every day, picture ourselves winning the national championship, which I believe in that stuff. Mm-hmm. They said, all we're going to do is focusing on cutting out negative talk. That's it. How many of you would just there? How many would you see? How many of you would see breakthroughs in your marriages, in your health, in your work, if you would just start cutting out the negative talk? That's the challenge. And from a kid perspective, oh my goodness, kids are surrounded by negativity. It's one of the school. And again, I'm not blaming school systems. We just know, according to research, that school is one of the harshest environments to be in because kids are expressing themselves. They have no filter, so they're letting every negative thing come out of their mouth towards others. Mm-hmm. And so we get into agreement with that. We start ripping off negative things. This is why more kids than ever before are taking their lives. It's why more kids than ever are in anxiety and depression and are medicated like never before. When maybe there's a better solution that could turn this thing around. And I think the story of Alabama itself speaks for itself. Like, think about that. Mm-hmm. Russell Wilson for the Seahawks. He has worked with Trevor Maywad for years. You have a 5'10" quarterback that shouldn't have played Division I football, and then he shouldn't have made it in the NFL. Everybody said he's not going to make it. And he's not going to be a quarterback. He's a good athlete. He can play special teams or something else. He won't be. Well, the problem is, nobody understood that Russell Wilson was working with Trevor, and that the first thing he learned was, I'm not going to speak negativity over my height. I'm not going to speak negativity. I'm not going to ever say I'm too short to play quarterback. I'm not going to say I'm disadvantaged because I'm too short. I'm not going to speak any of those things. I'm not going to let that have any root in me. And what Russell Wilson did is he woke up every day. Once you can cut negativity, then you go into positivity. Mm-hmm. He just wakes up every day thinking he's the best quarterback in the NFL. And he was that way since college. Mm-hmm. You can either listen to this and say, that's great for them, it's not for me. But I think it applies to every simple thing in our lives, and it's a very powerful thing. All right, we got another commercial break. We'll come back with more after this.
This is 5 Star Life Radio on News Talk 95.3 Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station.